Linda saved too much for her daughter's college, and she was about to be punished for it. For 18 years, she did everything right. Every birthday check from grandma, every spare bonus went into a 529, Emma's college fund. Then Emma earned a scholarship, finished school, and left about $30,000 sitting in that account, unspent. A good problem to have, you'd think. But Linda felt something closer to dread, because she'd read the fine print. Pull that leftover money out for anything else, and the earnings get taxed, with a 10% penalty stacked on top. The account she'd built so carefully had quietly turned into a trap. Save too little, and you come up short. Save too much, and you get penalized for it. That's the blind spot almost no one warns you about. And it's exactly why so many parents either overstuff a 529 out of fear or never open one at all. But there's a door out now, and it didn't exist a few years ago. Welcome back to Financial Blind Spot. Starting in 2024, a provision in a law called Secure 2.0 quietly rewrote the rules. Leftover money in a 529 can now be rolled into a Roth IRA for the very child the account was meant for, with no tax and none of that 10% penalty. The money you thought was trapped for college can become something else entirely. The first bricks of your child's retirement, tax-free, for the rest of their life. Sit with that for a second. The thing that felt like a mistake, saving too much, turns into one of the best gifts you could hand a 22-year-old. A dollar in a Roth at that age has 40, 50 years to grow, and every cent of that growth comes out tax-free. But here's where most people get burned. The rule comes with gates, 4 of them, and if you don't know them, you'll trip. Let me walk you through each one slowly. Gate 1. The account has to be old. The 529 must have been open at least 15 years before you can move a single dollar to a Roth. This rewards the patient, long-term saver. It is not something you can set up overnight. Gate 2. There's a lifetime cap. You can move at most $35,000 out of a 529 and into a Roth, ever, for that child. Not per year, for their whole life. So this isn't a loophole for laundering a fortune into a Roth. It's a rescue hatch for a reasonable leftover. Gate 3, and this one catches everybody. You can't move it all at once. Each year, the rollover counts against that child's annual Roth contribution limit, which in 2026 is $7,500, and it's reduced by anything they've already contributed to an IRA themselves. So Emma's $30,000 can't teleport into the Roth in one move. It drips over several years. Patience, again. Gate 4. The child needs earned income that year, at least equal to the amount being rolled over. The money is treated like their own Roth contribution, so there has to be a paycheck behind it. A recent grad with a first job usually clears this with ease. A child with no income that year simply can't. And one piece of fine print that finally works in your favor: the normal Roth income limits, the ones that lock high earners out, do not apply to this rollover. So even if Emma lands a big salary and would normally be barred from a Roth, this money still slips through the side door. So watch how it actually plays out for Linda and Emma. Emma graduates, starts working, has earned income. Each year, a slice of that leftover 529, up to the annual limit, moves into Emma's own Roth. Over about 5 years, the bulk of that $30,000 quietly migrates from a college account she no longer needs into a retirement account. She'll thank her mother for decades from now. Linda didn't oversave by mistake. She bought her daughter a head start most people can't. Before you rush off to do this, 2 honest cautions. First, this is still a young rule, and the IRS hasn't answered every question, including what happens to that 15-year clock if you change the account's beneficiary. Don't build a plan on the gray areas. Second, some states don't follow the federal treatment and may tax the rollover or claw back a deduction you took years ago. Check how your own state handles it before you move a dollar. But the headline is real, and it changes things. For years, the fear of leftover money kept families from saving enough. That fear is now mostly obsolete. A 529 is no longer a bet that your child will need exactly that much for school. It's a flexible account that can pivot from education to retirement without losing a cent to taxes or penalties. So if you've got a 529 with money still sitting in it, or you've been afraid to open one because of the what-ifs, here's the blind spot to remember. Leftover doesn't mean lost anymore. It might just mean early. This is educational information, not financial tax or legal advice. These rules are specific and still developing. The dollar limits are for 2026, and your state may treat this differently. So talk with a qualified tax professional before you make any move. If this helped you see the corner you couldn't see before, you know what to do. I'll see you in the next one.